Excellent. So welcome everyone to another APAC webinar. We are the voice for coaching in Asia. Usually we have a mix of members and non-members here, primarily members, but often our webinars are open to non-members. So if you are a non-member of APAC, a welcome to you. Of course, welcome back to so many familiar faces as well here in our APAC community. For those of you who don't know me, I am Leon Vanderpool, and I'm the Assistant Program Chair at APAC. Irene here is the program chair, and of course, she is primarily responsible for all the programs that we are valuing and being able to participate in. So always, Irene, I don't know if you hear it from people, but you're doing amazing work and you need to know that. So if all of you like, yeah, give it, Justin, give the thumbs up if you just want to, shout out some
because
love
Leon
to
is such
Irene.
a great support.
But you are the engine. So thank you for this, and thank you for inviting Francis Penafort to be with us today. Now I'm going to put up just a few slides because we have a few announcements, as we do often before we begin. The first is, again, if you are a non-member and you are thinking about becoming a member, we warmly invite you to do so. There's a lot of benefit we get here being members of the APAC community. And we're always seeking for those who are interested in coaching, whether you're a coach or not, it doesn't matter. And the learning opportunities available and the community that's available, we offer that. And monthly membership is incredibly low, I think, an incredibly low price for a year. So you can always check us out at the APAC website. It's on the slide here, apacoaches.org, to learn a little bit more about who we are and what we do. For all of us, upcoming webinars: 2, Coaching for Performance with Niren Jiang. This is coming up September 8th, so that's not too far off. So definitely mark that one on your calendar. She's going to share some results of a survey that looks quite fascinating. I'm not going to give you more information than that. And then we're going to talk about what that means for us, these results of this global survey that was done. The second, and this is a little further down the line, but we want to get it on your calendars today. And that is I guess this is the second official, isn't it, Irene? The second APAC Coaching Fiesta. We had one last year. It was a different format. This year's, it looks a little shorter if I saw it. We have 2 days, the 19th and 20th. And I believe it's 4 hours a day. Maybe I'm wrong.
Over Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, last year I think it went a little bit longer. So it looks like a bit of a shorter format. So a lot of guest speakers, a lot of learning. And so the invitation to everybody is to put this on your calendar and keep an eye out for registration details coming up. Okay. So just some events on the horizon for all of us. So let's dive in. This is a Power Hour webinar. So we're going to be getting CCEUs for this. So if you want the full CCEUs, please do stay for the full event. And our special guest tonight is Francis Penafort. She hails from Malaysia. Excellent. So a little bit of background on her. Now, she is, first of all, an International Coach Federation Master Certified Coach, which is, I know I always hold that in kind of awe. It's a fantastic accomplishment in life. She was also elected as the first president of the ICF Malaysia chapter, and she is currently a board director of the ICF Global Thought Leadership Institute. And I have to admit, until I read that, I had no idea that existed. So wonderful that you're part of that, and I'm going to find out more about what that body is soon, because it looks quite interesting, actually. So in addition to that, she does executive coaching, she does mentor coaching, she's a coach supervisor, and she also facilitates an ICF coach certification program. Her coaching philosophy is really to partner with leaders in a self-discovery journey so that they transform and really showcase their better vision. So with that, big warm welcome, Francis. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I am looking forward to this. I know very little about this systemic intelligence, but I'm hearing about it in all these different places. So I'm trusting today I'll get a little bit more knowledge and understanding of something that I think is going to be quite fascinating to delve into. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Leon and Irene. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you to APAC for having me as a speaker. I'm really honored and really grateful. Thank you. So can I share my screen now?
Yes, you are good to go.
Are you seeing it in slideshow? No.
You are showing, you can see it. Ah, perfect now.
Okay. All right. So the topic today is systemic intelligence in coaching. Yeah. So this was just a little bit of background because I'm already a coach mentor and coach supervisor. And when this opportunity came for me to learn what was systemic intelligence, I found it, and just to expand my capacity to be a better coach to my clients. And what I learned, I am sharing with you some bits of it, because it was like a 6 months or 4 months program. So we split it over a few weekends. So I'm extracting some of the juicier bits and sharing with you. So I don't have a full knowledge of it and I'm not fully equipped with it, but what I have, I'm sharing with you, plus what I have used for my clients. So I thought that could be a real life experience. Okay. So introduction, I'm just going to share with you what is systemic intelligence, and then just do some experiential activities through breakout rooms, which Leon will help me, thank you. And also share with you a case study, because it's still 1 hour that we have. So I don't think I have time to do a real life demo. So in substitution, I've done a case study, which is a real case I've done with my client, and I'm going to share with you how we use constellations in systemic intelligence. Okay. How do I? Yeah. Okay. So what is systemic intelligence? So the first thing we need to know is there are systems existing, like within families, there are systems existing. There in APEC is an organization, an association. Systems exist within that. How do you know systems are existing? Because there are elements inside that system. And these elements that exist within a system are actually depending on each other. So there is some form of energy flow between all these different elements that are interdependent. So in a family, between the father and the mother, and to the elder child or the second child and the third child, and between the children itself, some form of energy will be flowing. So that itself, because there are elements inside a system, so we call it, there is a system existing, number 1. Number 2, there are elements. Number 3, they are interdependent. And this energy flowing between them, sometimes it's visible, sometimes it's invisible. So in organizations, sometimes you can see from one department, a product is being transferred to another department. Then there is a flow of energy and the flow through the product, so we can see them. So those are visible energy flows. But sometimes there's just invisible energy. You can't really see the energy that's flowing within the departments, within the elements in that system. So, and the flow itself is complex. So is it coming from the head to the staff, or is it from the staff to the peers, or peers to the subordinates? So itself is a complex thing. We can't see it, but we can sense it. We can sense, oh, this guy is talking to this person. There is some form of energy flow between A and B. So we get a sense about what is happening in the system. So the higher the sense that we get of how the energy is flowing, the more intelligent we become of that system. Now, sometimes the flow of energy is very smooth. And if it is very smooth, this is what you will see. The elements within the system, they will be moving towards a desired outcome, a desired goal. There will be lots of enthusiasm. There will be lots of fun. There will be laughter. Teams will be like high-performing teams. Productivity will be high. Results will be excellent. Then we can see in that system, there are interdependent elements and all are moving in, they are having a good or smooth flow. Conversely, sometimes in organizations, you will see in their systems, that the energy is not flowing smoothly. So, and for us, when we look at it, there's no obvious reason. There's no apparent root cause. But why is the energy not flowing? So when the energy doesn't flow in systems, we call it an entanglement. So the energy is getting stuck. The energy is getting entangled. So the energy cannot flow. So when the energy does not flow in the system, and we are intelligent about this, we can spot symptoms. So what are some symptoms that will arise? Like getting to the desired goal, getting to the outcome is a struggle. So every time, every month, they can't hit like the KPIs. And the bosses are saying, work harder, come on, you can do it, work harder. But working harder is not going to untangle that energy that is not flowing. So there must be something else that's causing that. So the symptom is what you are seeing. Okay. What else do you see when the energy is not flowing smoothly? You will see sometimes the teams themselves don't have clarity. Are we supposed to be doing this or are we supposed to be doing that? So they don't have clarity in direction. So that's another symptom that's coming up when the energy is not flowing smoothly. Sometimes you will see people who are disengaged. Okay, there are teams there, but couldn't be bothered. Or absenteeism is high. There seems to be a lack of trust between subordinates and their bosses, or vice versa. There's little psychological safety. Deadlines are being ignored, and there is even resistance to change. There's confusion. Teams are supposed to be doing their tasks, they are not doing. So what happens? The leaders, they start doing the work of the teams instead of focusing on their role of being strategic thinking or building people. No, they are going down to operational level to do this. And then what happens to them? They get burnt out. So these are all symptoms that the energy is not flowing. So if we are intelligent about interdependent elements within the system, we know that there is an entanglement of energy because it's visible to us above the surface of the waterline. We can see symptoms. So systematic intelligence is a tool. It's a tool that we can use just to get an understanding of why is the system not functioning at its optimum. Okay, what is causing the entanglement of energy? What is making it so negative, or the outcome itself is so below what is expected? So by becoming intelligent about the system, understanding it, we can investigate what is the root cause. Why is something not working? So we are going beneath the symptoms which are shown on the surface of the waterline. We want to go beneath to see what is the root cause. Okay. So what is systemic intelligence in coaching? So how do we connect it to coaching? So in coaching, we have core competency 1, 2, 4, and 6. So these 4 core competencies invites us, the coach, to actually step into the world of the client. So we become a guest of the client. And what are we looking for? Our role is to find out from the client what is the influence of that context onto the client. What is the influence of the culture onto the client? What is the influence of the environment on their client? And how do we do that? Is we listen actively. We are sensitive to the client. We open our minds. We build the trust and safety with them. So by using these core competencies, we're actually embracing the client in their own world. Okay, so our role is only to do these things: listen, observe, understand, facilitate, and become the resource. Our role is not to fix. Our role is not to help. Our role is not to provide the solution. We take 2 or 3 steps away from the client to see and observe what is happening to the client, but not just the client, in relationship to what is in the system that is impacting the client. So once we do this with the client, so we are using systemic intelligence as a tool in our client, in the coaching with the client. What we will help the client to do is expand their capacity so that in that complex context or culture or environment, they become able to navigate through that because they can use their eyes from the lens of systemic intelligence. So they themselves can see, oh my goodness, my energy is stuck here. So what can I do now? Okay. So we are enabling them to expand their capacity. What else? The client also will gain intelligence of what system he is operating in. So he gets to see who are the elements that should be in the system with him to make his energy flow smoothly. So he is becoming intelligent and aware of the elements in that system. What else? The client gets powerful insights and can experience transformation because once he knows where it is stuck, where the energy is stuck, then the coach will do an intervention called nudging. So we just nudge that piece where it's stuck, and it's stuck or entanglement, we just nudge that entanglement. So now we are training and expanding the capacity of the client to do that. Okay, so the client will build his capacity to respond to complex scenarios in different ways, in meaningful ways for him. So we are not focusing on him, we are focusing on his relationship to his context or his culture or his environment. So that's how we use systemic intelligence in coaching. Okay, so how will today's session go? There will be 3 parts. So first part was just the introduction about what is system, what is systemic intelligence. But to dive a bit deeper, I want to break it into 3 parts. The first part is the knowing field. Second part is the crucible of the vessel. And the third part is the constellation. So let's see, what is this knowing field? The knowing field is the invisible field of energy that exists in all systems, whether the system is, the energy is within its organization, plus it is also with external stakeholders, to their vendors. So anytime they have a relationship, a connection with an external element, there is an energy that's flowing, and the energy is flowing in a field, and we call that the knowing field. If the energy is visible and we can see it, then we will see all the interdependencies within that system. We will start to see where is that energy strong, where is that connection that's strong. Wow, we can see the energy is flowing there between these 2 elements within the system. We can also see, if it's visible, where they are drifting away from the purpose. Actually, we're supposed to go, that is our direction and our purpose for this system to work. But we can see, if it's visible, we can see where the energy is drifting away from that purpose. We can see who is connecting with that system. We can see who is not connecting with the system. We can see what are the reasons behind this not connecting. We can see who is giving more energy, who is taking energy away from the system. We can see in the system itself who is missing from that system. However, we can't really see this energy. So if it was visible, it's easier for us to pinpoint which element in the system where there is an entanglement. But now, since it's invisible, it's under the waterline. So we will only wait for symptoms to appear above the waterline, and then only we'll say, oh, there's something entangling. So then we move downward underneath the waterline to try to find out from the knowing field what is happening. And we use constellations as tools. Okay. So in the knowing field, remember, we are shifting. We are not looking at the problem. We are looking at how is the client connected to this problem? What is the relationship? Because in the knowing field, it's energy. And it's the client's energy with somebody or something or some process or some system within that. So what is it? What is it that's getting entangled? So we want to look at that. So the knowing field also gives us a glimpse of what could be the symptoms that are arising, plus going underneath the waterline to look at what could be some potential root causes. So to be in this knowing field, you will get a sense. So we'll get a sense of what could be the root causes. And then we can nudge that part of the system, because the system has many interconnected, interdependent elements. So now I want to invite you to check and see whether you are part of this knowing field. So I want to do this activity, and it's about 5 minutes, and Leon will help me. All you need to do is this. 3 minutes. There are only 2 people inside a breakup room. I hope we have pairs. We can pair them up. And one person will be A, one person will be B. And both will look at each other. So in silence, no talking, A and B look at each other, and you just pick out 5 things that I'm picking up about this person. So just through observation of 3 minutes, see whether the knowing field can give you a sense of what the other person is. And it can be anything. Just allow the knowing field to prompt you to emerge, to let it emerge within you what it is. Yeah. So 5 things, and then you just write it down. And then take 2 minutes. A will share with B, you know, I think you are this type of person, this type, you're this, you're this, you're this. And then 1 minute, and then B will share with A, take another minute. So in 2 minutes, A shares with B and B shares with E. Is that okay?
Very good. Yeah, we'll give them 6 minutes in total, so they have a minute to settle in, and then they can get started. So we should have pairs for this. Here we go.
Thank you. Can they see the instruction?
Yeah, but can I have a...
Looks like we have Cass, who has not had a room. So I'm going to move someone to room 4. There we go. And we shall be back. Francis, yeah.
Oh, okay. So welcome back. Just curious to know, did anybody would like to share what they picked up and what their friends said about What's the feedback from the friend? Maybe just one pair.
We didn't share with each other when we were together.
Oh, A shares with B and B shares with A. Did you do that?
No, that we didn't do. We only looked at each other. I thought, we will get a bell and then we will shift to sharing.
Okay, okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Garu.
Yeah, Francis, so John and I were paired together. This is Jeff. And what it was interesting to me in that John and I, we didn't agree if we, would share with everybody what we talked about. So I'll keep it kind of high level. It was interesting. He focused more on my physical attributes, what he was noticing about my physical attributes. I shared with him that I was using this exercise as a bit of an experiment just to see what would pop into my mind upon observing him. And I wrote down a number of adjectives. And so I'll share a couple of positive ones. I don't think he would mind. If you do, John, speak up, please.
Share away.
Yeah, okay. Caring, perceptive, health conscious, slightly anxious, and slightly cautious. And I don't know if any of these are true, but those were the things that came into my mind.
Okay. John, would you like to respond to that?
Sure. I mean, I was kind of fascinated because what I came up with was shirt and breathing and blinking and ears and earphones, which is a completely different list to what Jeff did. So it was just interesting kind of what we, what we were picking up, and yeah, just a different perspective, I guess, or a different lens that we were doing it. But yeah.
Just want to find out what Jeff has noticed about you. Is any of that resonates with you?
In terms of what he was saying, the caring and perceptive. Yeah, look, I mean, I'd love to think that I'm caring and perceptive, particularly as a coach. I think they're pretty good qualities. So, I'm happy to go along with it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was picking up, but I wouldn't disagree with that. The slightly anxious and slightly guarded or something, or what was it? Slightly
cautious.
Slightly cautious. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. Like what was kind of feeding that those things. And I'd probably say it's probably fair, slightly cautious. I've just met him, so as much as we're kind of in it together. I mean, he doesn't look too dodgy, so
I appreciate it.
Okay. So thank you very much for participating in this activity. The main essence of it is some people just look at the surface, what's appearing outside on the external surface. Okay, are you looking nervous? Are you looking comfortable? Are you, adjusting your seat? So some people do that when they are looking at the other person. Some people can pick up even a deeper level of knowing. That means touching into the knowing field and picking up values like he is either cautious or he is very caring. These are values that are coming up, but you really don't know this person. Let's assume you don't know him, but if you can pick up the values, it is from the knowing field, because you yourself couldn't have just known this. It is the knowing field that's feeding this information into you. So it'll be interesting, and I want to share with you an experiment. Sorry. This is an experiment by Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. He's an English author and researcher in parapsychology. He has a website called sheldrake.org. And on his website, he has got tests. You can do it with your friend. I think like Leon, what you were sharing earlier with me. So he has photographs and pictures on his website. And he said, do this test with a friend and choose a friend who's far away. Like, let's say you are in Singapore and that person is in UK. And tell them, okay, out of these photos, 2 photos, which one are you looking at and focusing? So through this experiment, so once you complete that test just to tell what photo you were focusing. Your friend also will share what photo they were focusing on, and you will see that there is some form of resonance between you and your friend. So he created this theory of morphic resonance, where he did experiments on humans as well as on animals to test and confirm that there is a telepathic interconnection, okay, between organisms and collective memory of the species. So because the species has done it again and again and again, it becomes a wisdom into the knowing field of that species. He says that there is an energy in the field that gives us insights as to when others are, like, for example, his experiment, when others are staring at us, or when a dog knows his master is returning home. Even if they switch, the master is not driving his car, it comes on a bus, or he changes the location, or he doesn't come from his office, still the dog knows that the master is coming home within 30 minutes. So he said there is a resonance, there is a telepathic energy, or, that is happening between two people. And he said it can be tested. So from his all his experiments from 2004 right up to 2014, he has compiled it, and he found out, like from the table you can see, strangers have hit 69.8% correct. That means between strangers, you can even pick up, if you are in that field, in the knowing field, you can pick up about something about the other person. So this is just to give you an example of the knowing field. I also want to share.
Work. How do millions of birds collectively flying in one direction?
I don't think you can hear that, right?
We can hear it, we can't see it.
You can hear.
Yeah.
Turn in an instant and all begin flying in another direction. Initially, we assumed that it must be the result of some amazingly efficient leadership structure, where an alpha bird of some kind gave crystal clear directives to the flock. We soon learned that there was no leader. There were only simple rules that each bird followed according to what its nearest local neighbors were doing. Remember, there is no leader. No bird has overall command and control. There is no global scale awareness of the whole system. It is just a Here's an example of simple rules leading to complex behaviors in a human system. Simple, but with a big effect. All human systems are complex and
So those are just two video clips about showing about this resonance and how we can pick that up in the knowing field. So from birds as well as from human beings. So both two examples. I'm sorry I had to be brief because I just want to move to the next part. Okay. So that's part one about the knowing field. In part two, we are looking at the crucible or the vessel. So this is a important activity, and I just want to know whether, again, it's going into pairs and whether we can do this activity. It's only about 3 minutes and 3 minutes. So all you need to do is A will look at B, B will look at A. So both are looking at each other, okay? And A is giver. So A is saying this phrase in his mind. Everything happens in silence. And all A is saying is, I am here to help you. I am here to help you. Repeatedly in his mind, in silence. Okay. All B is doing is looking at A and receiving this message, receiving this message, receiving this message, and observing what is happening to him as he is receiving this message, and looking at A. What is he feeling about A? So what is his body saying about A? So then you have a 1.5 minute silence, and then you reverse it. Is the activity clear? So both in silence, only 1.5 minutes A is saying in silence in his mind. B needs to feel it and observe A. What is he seeing? What is he feeling about A? And then after 1.5, you reverse the roles.
And we have to share within that time, or we have to share after that breakout?
You don't share yet, you just make some notes about how you're feeling. Then we'll go to another activity.
So they're going to come back from this, right, Francis? They're going to come back?
No, they don't come
Okay.
back.
Do you want to introduce the next activities? Because if they don't come back, they won't know what it is.
Oh, okay. Clever. So as you're sitting with your partner in the room, now both of you are looking at each other, and again now A changes the phrase. The phrase becomes, I am here, I am available, and repeats this phrase over and over and over. And B in silence, both are in silence. B observes A and sees what he's feeling about A, as A is saying that to him. What is he feeling inside himself? What is he feeling about A? So 2 activities, 3 minutes and 3 minutes, and you need to reverse roles. So it's only 1.5 minutes per person.
So total then 6 minutes, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. The first time people are transmitting the thought, I am here for you. I put this in the chat for people in case you haven't copied it. And then the second time you're transmitting, I am here. Oh, sorry, the first one is I am here, not for you. I am here to help you. Sorry, I made a mistake. Then I'm here to help you. Second time, I am here, I am available. And we're observing for, again, in both cases, what happens within us, and also perhaps any differences in the experience of receiving when different messages are transmitted. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, just let me make sure the rooms are all good to go here. There may be a room of 3 because we don't have exactly perfect numbers. So there may be a room of 3, and you can figure out in your room of 3 then how you will organize yourselves. I see people are nicely dropping off in the middle of this. So I'm just going to make sure that the rooms are still, let's see, we got everyone ready to go. Okay, I think it should be good. I think we have everyone good to go. Yeah, okay, here we go.
Okay.
So yeah, everyone's back. Good.
Thank you very much for doing this experiment. Can we just have one person to share how they felt when the first phrase of I'm here to help you, when they received it, did they feel something going through their body and their observation?
Yeah, can I share? I received it.
Yes.
And the first time when it conveyed, it actually went inside my body. and it a little warmed up, and there was some internal kind of movement of the kind of an atom, etc. So I just felt the genuineness of the transfer. The first part which was there, as I am here to help you.
What about the second phrase?
Second phrase was not as effective as the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else had another experience? One more person.
I just picked up something quite unexpected, that I felt like my partner was willing to be vulnerable when she was, coming forth. And that gives me a very safe feeling. Yeah.
All right. So for which sentence did you feel that?
It was for the first one, actually. And because the second one, she was very calm and she was just being herself. And the first one, I felt like the person was trying to show me the kindness and trying to come forward to help. So I think there is a difference in the two.
Okay. So thank you very much for doing this experiment. I want to share with you what is this crucible or vessel. But I think, Leon, you want to ask them permission if we can.
Yeah, thanks, Francis. Yeah, it was just a recognition, folks, that we're likely to go over maybe 10 or 15 minutes with our webinar today. We still want to talk crucible, and then we've got the constellation piece at the end, and anytime, bit of time for Q&A as well. So of course, as always, if you do need to drop off at the top of the hour, you're more than welcome to do that. But if you can stay on a little longer, wonderful. Just join us for a bit more.
Thank you, Leon. So just want to share with you, what is this crucible or vessel? This crucible or vessel is us. We are going to be the coach, and we are carrying this vessel or crucible with us. We become the tool that is going to engage with the client. So we cannot come into the system of the client with a certain judgment or any form of like, I'm more superior than you. We need to come into the system with the client with 100% curiosity and 0% judgment, and with that attitude or mindset of I do not know. So sometimes when we go in like, I'm here to help you, I'm here to help you, I'm here to help you. Sometimes we will create this feeling that this is not a relationship of equals. I am a bit better than you, so I can help you. Yeah. So we are here not to fix, not to help, not to create any solution. And we're not looking to the client through our eyes or ears or heart. No, we are using that vessel, which is our whole body. Our whole body listens to the client. Our whole body observes what's the client experiencing. Our whole body we are using to understand. Our whole body we are using to facilitate. Our whole body we are using to resource the client. So we always or tend to use only our brain and see only the surface symptoms. But to do systemic intelligence, we need to use the full body. And that is the crucible or the vessel. So the cleaner the crucible or vessel, the sharper you will pick up what is the undercurrent, what is underneath the water, what are some symptoms, what are some root causes, which part is getting entangled. We can pick that up if we use our full body. And Dr. Rupert Sheldrake also calls it embodied wisdom, because we have done it so many times, it's already inside our body. So the cleaner the vessel, the sharper it is to pick up what is in the system. So we build up our systemic intelligence capacity. So how do we build up our systemic intelligence capacity? How do we build up our body? So one of the ways that I use is using this Insight Timer app. And then they have a few talks or meditation around how to listen to the body. So these are just some examples of using this app to build up this capacity of developing the crucible or vessel. Keep it clean. The cleaner, the better. Okay. And finally, oh yeah, and I have one story, one sharing with you about this lady. It was a coaching supervision session, and the coach came, and a phrase that the coach mentioned, I could feel my body tightening up, like cringing. So she came and she said her client was coming to her for advice instead of coaching. So her client always comes and say, what is your advice about this? What is your advice about this? And she said, I just don't understand my client. I am there telling her there is a difference between coaching and advising, coaching and consulting. But this client, it just doesn't seem to get into her. So then I told her, oh, you made a statement and my whole body tightened up because I'm using my body as the crucible or vessel. So I shared with her and she said, what was it that I said to you that your body tightened up? And I repeated that phrase to her. She said, of course I know all the answers to her questions because I was working in the corporate field and I have done those activities. So I know all the answers. So I told her, when I expressed to her, I'm using my body as the crucible and vessel, she got a shock. So she realized that her body was giving the message to her client that I'm smart, I know all the answers, I'm smart, come to me, come to me. But her head was saying, coaching is different from consulting, but the body is stronger. The body is the vessel, the crucible that can really penetrate beneath the waterline. So your body is important. Okay. Finally, the constellation. So constellation refers to three-dimensional pieces that we can use elements or pieces from either matchsticks or you can use blocks, or you can use pepper and salt shakers. You can use this and arrange them to give us a three-dimensional view of what are the elements in that system. So using the three-dimensional gives us an insight as to what is the system, who are the elements that are involved in that system, what are the interdependencies, and we will also pick up what could be a root problem, what could be an entanglement, just by the way it is positioned. Okay. So how do we unpack a constellation? How do we do that? So using systemic intelligence means we go into a system, we pretend the system is inside a house, and we can choose 4 doors to get into that house. The first door we look at is the purpose. So when we enter the system through that door, the purpose, what we're looking for is the system smooth and working? Is the energy around purpose smoothly flowing? If there's entanglement, you will see parts of the system, no direction, not sure which one to focus, which is the priority. They're not sure. They are doing work, doing harder and harder, and yet they're not getting the results, because it could be that the objective is not clear, which is the direction they're supposed to head. If we enter the door through the purpose. Another door we can enter to look at a system, that means going underneath the water line. Yeah, look at the people. Who are the people in this system? Are they the right people who are supposed to be sitting at the table? Are they the ones who are going to make the decisions or not? Is anyone missing from that table? So when we look at and if the system is entangled, then you will see somebody's either missing or the right person to make the decision is not there. Then we can nudge the system and say, what if you put in the right person? Then what happens? What happens to the system? So we are looking for entanglements in the system using these 4 doors. The third one is the order. The order means what is the most important thing to get the system? What is the next step? What is the most important? What's the priority to get the system moving? So are we missing that out? Are we overlooking one of the important steps to make this decision, to make the system work? So if we look from that angle, then we will get an insight. Somebody's missing, or something that you're supposed to do, you have overlooked. You're supposed to contact the government about this and you haven't done this. That's why there is an entanglement of energy. So why don't we poke there? Why don't we nudge? So these are the 4 areas where you can nudge the system to check whether there's entanglement. And the last one, number 4, is the energy itself. Energy between the members inside. So could it be that the energy, one person is giving too much and other people are not doing their role? So they are not giving energy into the system. One person is burning out, having burned out, and the other person is relaxing. So there's again that entanglement. So we want to poke and see, is this the energy? Is there a right balance between giving and receiving? So if there is a right balance, then the system will flow smoothly. Okay, so these are the 4 nudges that we can do. And this is a case study that I want to share with you. It is about this senior manager in HR, and she is based in an organization in India, and the HQ is in USA. And she reports to a director, and she prepared a pitch for the senior leadership team about a new initiative which the HR wants to undertake. Okay, so her presentation, she did the full presentation, and then her presentation ended up with a Q&A session. So in the Q&A session, the questions that were presented to her was like above her level. She couldn't answer some of the questions because she's a senior manager and she only knows this much about that initiative. So what happened was she couldn't answer and her director was there. So what she did was, instead of looking at the senior leadership team during the presentation, she shifted her direction and she looked at her director. What does she want from her director? She was hoping, because I asked her, why did you look at the director? I was hoping that he would step in and answer some of the issues that was raised. But what happened to that director? He didn't look at her. He didn't give her support and he looked away. So she felt very hopeless. She felt very helpless. So she brought this scenario to me. She said, I don't know what happened to me. I couldn't do it. I need to unpack. I need you to help me to unpack this. I need to understand what happened to me, why I couldn't stand up with that confidence. Why is it that I need that support? Why is it I need that support from the boss? So this is what I did. So I said, okay, let's use the constellation pieces. How many pieces would you need? She said, well, 1 for me, 1 for the senior leadership team, and 1 for my director. So maximum we will allow pieces on the board is 4, maximum, but she chose 3. So I asked her to place them on the board as how she felt the whole scenario took place or was like. So she put in that yellow piece, the red piece, and the blue piece. So as you can see a pattern already happening. What is one pattern that you can see? Is there something you can observe from these 3 pieces? Just an information.
Francis, it seems like you've got energies faced off against each other with the yellow and red pieces, and you've got the gray piece or black or whatever it is with energy going off in a completely different direction.
Okay, so one area we will look at is direction. Okay, where are they looking? So the yellow piece, I asked her, why did you put that in that direction? She said, oh, they were the senior leadership team, and I'm the orange piece, and I am looking at the senior leadership team. So I'm doing the presentation for them. They are listening to me. I am looking at them. So that is 1. That is direction. And you can see, I said, who is this blue piece? Oh, that's my director. I said, where is his direction? So the first thing we look at is direction. Second thing we look at the direction. So the direction of the director was looking somewhere else. He wasn't even focused on the senior leadership team. He wasn't even focused on her. And he's the director of HR. She is the senior manager. So looking at direction will give us one insight, one clue. Okay. Second thing is the distance. So two clues that we can look at when we create constellations. So look at the distance. What was the distance between her and the senior leadership team? So I asked her, she said, yeah, we were resonating in the sense that when I presented, they were nodding their heads, etc. So we were having a connection between us. So that's why I put those two pieces closer together. Then what happened? What is the distance with you and the HR? Yeah, he was sitting far away. He wasn't even looking at them. He was like in his own world and, you know, not paying attention. And even when I looked at him for support, he wasn't looking at me. So that was the whole constellation. And from this constellation, in the crucible and the knowing field, I picked up a question. A question emerged from me in the crucible. The question emerged from me. And the question was, can you do the job of your boss? She stared at me. How do you know what happened between us? I said, I do not know. I'm just picking up what's in the knowing field, and from the constellation, my crucible is in, that question is emerging in my crucible. She said, when my boss just joined the organization, he looked at me and he said he felt threatened by her. He felt that she knew much better than him. And he is telling her, actually, you don't need me. You don't need me. You can do the job better than me. I do not know why I'm here. So that was the dynamic between her and the boss. So I said, what about all the meetings that you had regarding this HR initiative? She said he never turned up. He was always absent. So in that table, you know, under people, the right person must be seated there. He was missing. So that's where I could nudge the whole constellation. So I asked her, why did you turn and look at a missing person, a chair that was empty? And that opened her mind. That gave her the confidence, the capacity to understand that that is where her energy stopped, was blocked, was entangled. So from that coaching session, she became untangled. She knew exactly what was the next steps. And HQ said there is a position in USA. She wanted to apply for it. It's going to be the senior position leading at one unit there. So that role came up. She was keen. Together in our coaching sessions, this is what happened. We worked on her presentations to make sure she made all the people, the purpose, the people, putting the right order as well as the energy into her presentations. She had 4 presentations to do. She had 10 interviews to do with senior management from US. It was a very robust process for 2 months, all this whole process. And last week, she rang me up and said she got her dream job. She became untangled. So this is the beauty of using systemic intelligence, using constellations to nudge the place where the energy is centered. So that's my presentation. So these are the 3 areas I wanted to share with you: knowing field, crucible, and the constellation. If you need any more information, you can always write to me at my email address. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions.
Yeah, let's see if there are questions and people are happy to stay on and ask their questions. And you're happy to stay, Francis?
Yep.
I shall stay too. Come on in, folks.
Just a comment, Francis. Thank you very much for bringing those elements forward. really appreciate the reminder and deepening about curiosity and putting judgment as much as possible completely aside and just being really curious and using our own bodies to sense, as you said, I think, observe and perhaps we could also say absorb what's coming in from the other person. So thank you for helping me go a bit deeper into this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the comment.
It's a wonderful reminder for me how much information is in the field, what we're calling the
Mhm.
knowing field. I was sharing with Francis a little bit earlier, folks, when you were in the breakouts, that I've had some experience with this in different ways in the coursework that I do as well, where we consciously are learning to attune to other people at different levels and kind of what is the information that is there. So this was really helpful for me, Francis, too, to get a kind of a different perspective on that same kind of body of work and a bit of different language too, to go with it. And again, just kind of affirmation that there is this quantum field, this field of something, let's call it energy for lack of a better word, in which so much of other people is and ourselves is just available. And if we can tune in the right way, that can so much support our lives and the lives of each other, that it's really just remarkable. So thanks again for this.
Welcome.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to know that if there is an entanglement on more than one places,
Yeah.
then how do you identify that which could be the priority or which could be maybe one after the another, the
Yeah.
sequential part?
Yeah. So we can find the entangled in one of the 4 doors. And let's say we find there are 2 doors where there are entanglement. Yeah.
Mhm. Mm.
So you use the wisdom, the embodied wisdom that is inside you. You are the crucible, and something will emerge to ask this question. What is the next question I should ask? It is not the head. It's not from your brain. It is from your body. Your body is the one who will signal to you, ask this question. So that's where you go. So trust your body, because you are the crucible. You carry that wisdom which is embodied inside you. Use it.
Will the using of mind or brain lesser than before could also help in improving your body sensitivity?
To improve the body sensitivity, there are many ways. One is mindfulness, meditation. You can use the app. It will all help to improve that. But relying too much on the brain is not the way to go forward, because we are tapping into something which eyes cannot see, ears cannot hear. So we need to use more than just the eyes and the ears and the brain. We need to use more if we want to hit that entanglement energy.
Does it say that it is more of a heartfulness than mindfulness?
I don't know how to split the hair between heartfulness and mindfulness, but if you're going in that direction, then the name doesn't really, it's not so significant. If you both are taking you to that outcome, that's how I feel.
Right. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation, and each part of it, I liked, and I personally say I got totally engrossed into it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other question? I can stop share.
Yeah.
Can I ask one kind of a related question? It was that I work for ISO systems, International Organization for Standardization. So there are 2 terms which come very clearly. One is that process, another is the system. And the system is made of the various processes. The output from one process go to the another, then to another, and the whole thing is called system. So do you see anything into that connection of processes into the systems? Finally, that something comes up which is a desired kind of an output.
I think what we are doing here is looking at a system And in the system, there will be processes, there will be products, there will be people, there will be services. So we're looking at the entire system of the client. So what is operating in that system? So it could be smaller processes leading to the bigger system. It could be people that are impacting and influencing the client. So we are not just taking only, let's look only at the processes. No, we are looking at the bigger picture. What are all the different elements that is blocking this client from going and achieving her goal? What is it? Is it people? Is it systems? Is it a process? We don't know. So we need to be there to help her through a systematic methodology.
How do you, sorry. So how do you start that process? Maybe that, what is the starting point?
The starting point is number one, go into the knowing field, sharpen this knowing field. Number two, clean up your crucible, make sure your crucible is clear. Number three, learn about constellations.
Thank you so much. You already shared that, but the repetition helped me making it available for me for actually application.
Thank you. Thank you.
So where can we get information on cleaning up our crucible?
Cleaning up our crucible, I use the apps that I shared just now.
Okay, so primarily you're thinking the apps and those meditative experiences are really work for you to help that clearing.
Yeah, the apps also have short talks, like a 5-minute talk. So that also gives you information and it's all there, ready, accessible. So all you need to do is just listen to it. How do I clean up? How do I get more in tune with my body? How do I listen to my body? And they take you through step by step how to do it.
Nice, nice. So any more questions, folks, or is this a good place to wrap? Is there a few heads saying, yeah.
Questions could be many, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Like she's given us an introduction this big to a field of work that is this big. So I'm sure all of us are getting, but that's just the beauty of it, right? So Francis, do you have a resource that you would say, yeah, if we want to learn more, this would be a great place to go to begin that learning?
Yeah, number one is that app, because that app also has talks. Yeah.
Okay.
Number two is the school that I went to. I can refer. Once anyone is interested, just write to me and then I will refer them to the school. So I will be the connecting piece in the system.
Okay. Great. And I'm sure just a Google search for the rest of us can pull up some pretty good information as well on systemic intelligence. So thank you very much, Francis. This was great. I mean, obviously the fact that people are hanging on here to get more from you shows the interest in this work. So we really appreciate your time. And of course, everyone just being here and supporting this, this effort, from Irene putting it together, and Francis for your time tonight. Thank you.
I really enjoyed being here and sharing this with you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Irene and Leon.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Leon,
Fantastic.
too, for hosting.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, everybody.
There's a link in your chat as you say goodbye. Feel free to click that link on your way out. It'll take you to a little waggle survey, folks. Just waggle your way there. Just fill it in. Then Irene gets the good stuff that she needs to do, more of this. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
See you at the next webinar.
Bye.
Bye.